everyone, and welcome to Global XR Talks, the April 2021 edition. And with us today is the wonderful Timmy Kokke, also known as Source Code. Timmy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, I actually have a slide in a few moments for the introduction, so maybe I'll just wait a second to, otherwise I have to already skip slides. But
sounds great.
Hi. Hi, Timmy. Great to have you on board again.
Yeah, it's really great to be back again. Speaking about my favorite subject.
Yeah, I know. And as soon as I saw you posting some stuff online about it, I think about 5-6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did, I was like, I liked it, and I sent you a private message. Can you do a talk about it? We need to have this on the Global XR Talks. So I'm really happy that you're going to do it. So with further ado, I think we're just going to give you the stage.
Yes.
So, are you able to share your application or desktop? If you want to share audio, don't forget to indicate that.
That's a... let me make sure I share the audio. Otherwise... how do we do that? Is there an option?
Yeah, there is an option. If you click on the share button, you can actually select what you want to share. And I think it's on the bottom somewhere where you can actually select audio or not.
Okay, let me find the window I need to share. If I can find it, it's gone.
People, we have some difficulties.
Yes, it's always tested everything. Everything worked 5 seconds ago, and now I need to share my screen, and I cannot find the window I need to share. I know it's there. Oh, here it is. So I say share. I probably didn't share my audio now. I didn't see an option to share audio.
It could be that it is removed and by automatically added. So,
well, maybe. Anyway, this should work. In this case,
okay.
Yeah, if audio doesn't work, I have one example that has audio. If it doesn't work, I'm going to see if I can fix it. Otherwise, we have to skip.
No worries. So, with further ado, we want to introduce Timmy Kokke with building WebXR applications. So,
thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wanted to start with one little thing. I'm not going to go really deep into what WebXR is. Just for the people who don't know what WebXR is, it's basically just building virtual reality, augmented reality, or mixed reality apps using web technology. JavaScript or even WebAssembly is possible nowadays. So that's basically the high-level overview of WebXR. Let's see if this works. Yes. So I'm Source Code. I'm also known as Timmy Kokke on IRL. And I just realized that pretty much the only ones that are calling me Timmy is my family and my colleagues. And even my daughters are starting to call me Source Code every now and then. So that's actually pretty funny. I work at Velicus during the day. We build HoloLens apps using Unity, some Azure on the back end. And we're building apps for training emergency responses like CPR, for example. When I'm done working and when everybody is asleep, when the sun sets, I go back into my office and I often start streaming on Twitch and building my own WebXR apps using JavaScript. Sometimes I add a little AI or something like that using Azure. And if you want to figure out where you can find me, there is a link tree where all the links are on. Why I wanted to talk about this subject so much, and I'm not talking about WebXR specifically, but WebXR on the HoloLens. I've been waiting for this and that the WebXR on the HoloLens for a very long time, and slowly WebXR grew and grew. For example, hand tracking came. It came on the Oculus Quest. You can't do hand tracking on the Oculus Quest, but the HoloLens, there was no support. Then last summer, I started working as a HoloLens developer. I got full-time access to a HoloLens, but there still wasn't really WebXR on the HoloLens. There was a little bit of WebVR, the previous iteration, but it couldn't do much. You could render some things, but a lot of APIs were missing. So it's not only WebXR that came to the HoloLens now, but also things like the Web Audio API, Web Bluetooth, all kinds of crazy APIs. And that's why I built that demo that Alexander was talking about earlier, to demonstrate a few things, throw stuff together, and see if I can make it work. So I'm talking Bluetooth, web audio, spatial audio, and WebXR. So in this talk, I'm going to go over the tools I used, go a little bit into the code, not too much, and just show how I got access to the Bluetooth, how I got access to the gun I used, and all that kind of stuff, how I can create the graphics and stuff. First things first, why do you want WebXR on the HoloLens? You can build great apps using Unity, but then why would you want to build web apps for the HoloLens? Well, first of all, I happen to like JavaScript. I've been using JavaScript ever since we had Netscape, I think. And yeah, I never stopped using JavaScript. So I just want to run JavaScript everywhere, which is kind of the whole thing about the web. It runs everywhere. You write it once and it runs everywhere. Some features are not available on some devices. Some features are not useful on other devices. Hand tracking on a phone might be possible, but isn't very practical, for example. But by using progressive enhancement, we can create an experience that works on a phone and works on, for example, a HoloLens. What I also really like about the web is that it's very, very easy to get started. You don't need, well, if you have a browser, you can write apps for the web, even WebXR for the web. If you have a browser, you can get started. And then when you get access to a VR device, you can run it there. If you get access to a HoloLens, you can run it there. If you have a phone, you can run it there. Now, what I especially like about building apps for the HoloLens, web apps for the HoloLens, is that right now there is no need to take the HoloLens from your head anymore. Updates go in the back. Things just work. It's really, really great to work with. The development debug cycle is very, very short. Actually, just sometimes I forget I'm not wearing the HoloLens and I expect holograms to be around in my room. That's how much I wear the HoloLens nowadays. But unfortunately, we are not completely there yet. So right now, I'm running the insiders version of Windows on the HoloLens. I'm running the Canary version of Edge, which just is something we need to deal with for a while now. I think they're just having to do some things to the graphics engine and make that available through the browser to get everything to work. You see that on every update, small features get added. There's a lot of work going on. One of the big things that is missing that will be there at some point is the spatial understanding. Spatial tracking works. You can walk around things. Hand tracking works. You can touch things, but there is no there's no spatial mapping. It does not know what to hit, what to use in your environment. On Android, you can do hit testing to see if there's a floor. That's not available on the HoloLens yet. I'm pretty sure it will come at some point, but it's not there yet. Then I think it's time to just show the demo. Now I have the video of the original demo, but I think it's way more fun to see if we can run it live. So let me switch to the HoloLens and see if we can get it to work. Now I just noticed I cannot see what the stream is seeing, so now it works. And let's go. Now there's one downside of sharing my screen, and that is that it's slower than normal. So I have to grab my little gun here while we wait for the browser to load. It takes a second. So I'm running it actually on my desktop, and it's going over Wi-Fi to the browser. Let's go here. I will explain this URL in a second because it's not. It looks like it's a site out there, but it's not. It's just another name for my local IP address. I noticed in my live streams as well that sometimes it just takes a while for the browser to load, which is pretty terrible. The site is pretty small. It should load in a few seconds. If everything works, let me check. So this is the code. You can now see my screen. This is the server that's running, so it should run. Oh, there we go. Here it is. So we need to do two things. We first need to connect to the Bluetooth. So I press the button on the gun. I go into the browser, and we should get a pop-up saying that it wants to connect to the Bluetooth. If I'm not too early, let me try again. Something happened. So there's a reason why I made a video of it, because sharing the screen sometimes just doesn't work. Oh, there we go. Now it's reloading. One more try, and then we go into the video. It's more fun to see it live. Okay, here we go. Pressing the button. We get into the Bluetooth in a second, how that works. We should see the demo. It worked before. There we go. So this is just a message where it scans for all available Bluetooth devices. I limited through a query to only show the gun. So now we can pair it. Now it's pairing with the gun. It takes a second. And then we can go to the next step and go into XR. You can see the little Bluetooth icon on top there. So it's connected to the Bluetooth now. Oh, this is slow. Oh, there we go. Turn green. And now it should show an XR icon to go into XR mode. Please. So much more fun if it works. I guess I didn't sacrifice enough to the demo gods before. So the gun works already. We should have an XR button so we can actually already shoot. I'm going to try it one more time. Let it run. I'm going to go back to my desktop for a second. To see if it works better if I don't show it. So this is the code already for the Bluetooth gun. Web server is running. Yeah. Doing the same thing as I did before, but now I don't show it. Doesn't want to work. Okay, let's go into the video. So this is this is what should have happened. I'm going to try it again in the background. So we make a connection to the Bluetooth. And then we go into XR mode. And now there's the gun, and we can shoot things. There's music playing. And I'm not sure if you can hear the audio, but there's audio as well for the explosions. So that's basically the game. So just using the Bluetooth gun, and it's only triggering like a button that's going on or off. You cannot hear the audio. Oh, that's too bad. Oh, that's funny. I get different messages. Well, anyway, that's the game. Let's go. Let's continue quickly into the tools. So this game is built with A-frame, but there are a lot of tools available. I've seen people using Unity. People build an exporter for Unity. Mozilla built one before that isn't updated anymore, but someone else built a better exporter that's working really well. I've seen people using the MRTK on the web, exporting the MRTK. So that's all working. There are more tools like Play Canvas, Babylon.js, even Godot has an export to WebXR now. I think the only one that doesn't export to WebXR is Unreal Engine at the moment. And I'm not sure if they will do that at some point. So let's go into A-frame a little bit. A-frame is the most used framework for WebXR. There's a big community. There are a lot of components available out there. A-frame is around. It's been around for a couple of years, but that means that a lot of components that are available out there are old and may not use. But it's always a great place to start. It comes with a built-in inspector, which is pretty cool. And you only need to know a little bit of HTML to get started. It's built on top of Three.js, which is built on top of WebGL. So you can go all the way into the WebGL to get things working there. So let's go to my desktop for a second. And I will see if I can create a quick example of a A-frame game. Let me zoom in a little bit. So I already loaded the scripts. Now all we need to do to get A-frame going is add a scene. And in that scene, we can add a box. You know what? Let me just copy the code. That's probably a bit faster. I'm making up some time. We lost with the demo. This is the code that you can use to run things on the HoloLens. Now, on the HoloLens, you want the background to be transparent or black. That's one thing you need to keep in mind always, that you want to have the background black or transparent. By default, it is bluish, I think, or gray, and that will show that you will see that. So you can set it transparent. Now, the downside is there is an issue still that when you share the screen or record the screen, you see a gray or darker like filter over your camera view. I hope they will fix that at some point. Microsoft will fix that at some point. Or everything that you do with WebXR has that same thing going on. You can send reference types. You can, for example, require features like hand tracking, which is in here. There's another bug in here with the hand tracking. You will see in a second that all your fingers seem twisted. And I think that's an issue with A-frame, but I haven't figured out what it is. Here we have a box and a sphere. Now we can go into here. We have the box and the sphere around. And we can go, and that's pretty funny. I'm using Glitch. And Glitch is just a website where you can write HTML. Now if I go into Edge, switch to the HoloLens. And we should be able to load it because I don't have a video of this. Now, if you want to try it at home, you can go to Glazing Forest at glitch.me and you can try this example running it right in your browser. If you have an Oculus Quest or some other device, you can browse to that URL and you can try it. It takes a second to load. Again, there's the sharing. Normally it's just there. And in a second, we should have both there. And we should get AR in a second. And that's the AR stuff, so we can go into AR mode. Well, we can try VR. We should have AR. No, VR doesn't work. We need AR. I hope that the more demo. You know what? I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a second. And see if I can get it running without the screen share. Anyway, normally you would see a red cube and a blue sphere in the room. And 2 seconds ago, right before the stream, this worked. As you can see, it's just a couple of lines of HTML that is necessary to write your first piece of A-frame. So now it says AR. So let me go back and share the screen if I can find the button. Connect again. There we go. You should see everything in a second. There we go. Now we go into AR. There we go. As you can see, there is a dark filter on top of it. And now we have a red cube in my room and a blue sphere over there. And we have hand tracking, although both my hands are twisted and really weird. But that seems to be a bug. But it is working. So next is a tool. Next, I want to show a tool. So this is what I use to build the game. I want to show one other tool, which I've been using for the last 4 months, pretty much all the time, which is called Wonderland. And Wonderland engine is really something that is coming up. I really have faith that this will be the tool that a lot of WebXR will be built in the future. It has already support for a lot of other tools like 8th Wall to build things with. I use it to run games on the Quest, but it's also available to run on the HoloLens. And it has some very, very neat features. So let me go to my desktop and see if I can get it to work. Where's my desktop? You see my desktop? Yes, you can see my desktop. So I'm going to create a new project from scratch. HoloLens demo. And hopefully we can get this to work as fast as possible. So if you used to use Unity, it was kind of similar. You have you've seen outline properties of stuff. If I select something, for example, this cube, you can set properties. It has components you can use. I want to delete the ground plane because on the HoloLens we need the ground plane because we can see the real ground. And let's add an empty object here. Let's select all these, group them. I think they're a bit too big. So I just want to make them a bit smaller. As you can see, you can group things. Now, to get things to work on the HoloLens, we need to go into the project settings and enable WebXR right here. As you can see, you can do 8th Wall as well, but we want WebXR now. In the runtime, I want to force the hand tracking. Now, these are all features you might be able to use on a device. The HoloLens right now only supports hand tracking. It allows anchors, but I haven't got those to work yet. Some floor traps are also working. But as you can see here, there is more that is in the specs that are working on other devices. I think the latest version on Chrome on Android can do the light estimation now, which is pretty awesome. But plane detection and those kind of things all work on other devices. What I also like to do, but that's just personal preference, is in editor. By default, it's using port 8080. I don't like to use port 8080 because I have a lot of stuff running all the time, which might be running on port 8080 as 8080 as well. And as I said before, we need to change the background. Transparent background doesn't work, unfortunately, on the HoloLens. So we need to set this to black. That's the stuff there. Now, to get this to work on the HoloLens, we need to set up certificates. Now, I've got them set up already. And these are certificates for that coder domain. Now, that domain is, I just registered the domain, but the IP addresses I've added to that are pointing to my local IP addresses. So when I browse to coder.nl, it just points to my local machine. But that way, I don't have to remember IP addresses. I can use SSL like it should, because WebXR and all those fancy APIs require you have SSL. And this way, I can just browse everything like it should. This is one option. If this is turned on, you want to have this option, force full page reloads. You want that off on the HoloLens. And that's that. I'm going to show that is such a nice feature if it works. Now, of course, we want hand tracking as well. So let's just add hand tracking. I'm going to add 2 empty objects. And we go in here to the properties. We say left hand. We add a component, hand tracking, left hand. I want to have spheres for the joints, and let's do pink, which is this pink material for the joints. If you have a model for your hands, you can use a skin. We don't use that in this example. And we want the right hand, add component, hand tracking. In this case, you want the right hand. We do spheres as well. Let's pick another color. Let's do yellow. So now we have the hand tracking in here. And I think that's it. Now, one way to get this to run very easily on the HoloLens, and that works pretty much as well if you want to run things on the Quest, is another page I want to show. A little tool, which is pretty awesome, which is hmd.link. This uses your outgoing IP address to identify the IP addresses internally. So you can share a link to this, and if you have another device that has the same outgoing IP address, it shows that link, and you can browse from within different devices. You can browse to that URL. So I'm going to add the link. Now this is https coder.nl, the same as we had before, but this case it's 755. I ended 7550, but the SSL page, this is one up. So we need to have this page. So this will be visible for everybody on my network. Let's switch to the HoloLens. Let's go in the browser. Let's go in here. So this opens that HMD link page as well. And now we should see in a second that URL we entered. Now, this was a simple URL, but often you have complex URLs you want to open. So we should have, so we disconnected, it shows that same name. Now we have it here. This opens a new page with that URL. This saves you the hassle of typing URLs on the HoloLens or on a Quest or on whatever device that is in your network. Again, this takes a lot longer when sharing than it should. Now, I think, yes, I was afraid I made one mistake. Let me go and fix one thing. Because I changed the port, I need to stop the server and start the server again. So here we go. This is running in the browser. We go back to the HoloLens, and we should be able to refresh the page. It says AR on the button. That's great, but it hasn't loaded the page yet, so we need to wait 1 second. Now there is nothing in the in Wonderland to do the palm menus, for example. So we're building those during the live streams. So now we have the page loaded. We can go into AR. Takes a second. I heard the click, so we should go in there. If you click the button twice, you get an error, so we should not do that. Yeah. Exciting. Okay, in the meantime, let me talk about the next feature I want to show. What Wonderland can do, in the background, it creates a WebSocket connection between the editor and the browser. I'm going to press the button again, just to make sure. It's not working. And that way you can do crazy things. For example, if you change something in your page, you can force a refresh of the browser page. What you can do as well, and that's why we unchecked the checkbox earlier, is when you are in immersive view, so you are seeing the holograms, you can change things as well. So hopefully that works now. Fingers crossed. Please? I did it right. Did I forget something? Let's check. So the previous version of Edge did not have the developer tools. So when you get errors, you just didn't know something went wrong. Now we have this. Well, I'm going to leave that running for a second and skip. What should happen is that when I change something in the IDE, for example, and this is working, I can show videos of it. When you move something and you repackage, this refreshes the objects in your scene. So you don't have to take the HoloLens off. It's just automatically updating all the time. And you just have holograms lying around, working, changing things. You see changes. It works like a charm. Unfortunately, that's not working. I hope I can share some more demos. Oh, wait. I hear the sound. Are we in? There they are. They're in a weird position now, but we should be able to just grab this, move that to, let's say there, repackage, and now it should jump to a new position. There we go. It needs to go a bit further. So as you can see, and again, this is really, really, really slow now. Let's move it up a little bit as well. Oh, now it's over here. But as you can see, you can move things, and we have the hand tracking. And this is great. There's also a tap event in there already. So that's really, really cool. We actually made a game where you can throw balls at viruses with this, which is awesome. Now all this hassle is taking a lot of time. Anyway, let's go to more tools that I've used to build the game. I don't think I'm going to show all of them, but this one I do want to show. This is one of my favorite tools. And it's called Pixel Edit. And Pixel Edit is for creating pixel art. And I use this to create the artwork you just saw with the buttons. The rockets are textured this way. The spaceships are textured, and it's just drawing and just nothing too fancy. But this might already be, and you just export this textures loaded up, and if you use them in PowerPoint right now, it's really easy to work with. This tool is not free. I think it costs $9, and then it's a lifetime license, and that's it. And it's pretty cool. It's one of my favorite tools to draw with. And I use that to create the textures. Now for the models itself, I used a different tool, if I can, which is called Blockbench. Now Blockbench is normally not used for this purpose, but it worked really well. I was looking into building mods for Minecraft, and this tool is what basically everybody uses to build models for Minecraft. It can export models in Minecraft format, but it can also just export to GLTF format. You cannot read the name. It's called Blockbench. Is it? Let me Blockbench. I will. It's weird that it's not readable. I will add. I probably add a blog post later this week, maybe tomorrow, on my web blog, which has all the links to what I've shown. Oh, the one I showed before. That's Pixel Edit. Oh yeah, Pixel Edit. It's such a great tool. It's very simple. And it works. You can create animations with it. I really like it. And I can show Blockbench very quickly running as well. Just show that model. Oh, we shut it down. Well, I'm going to skip Blockbench for now. It's very simple. You just draw basic cubes and you extract cubes into something else, and then you just texture them. It's very simple. After creating the demo, I learned about a few other tools, and those are even simpler to use. One of them is KenShape. KenShape, K-E-N-S shape. And I need to show that. That is one of my new favorite tools. So this is KenShape. And, well, actually I had a drawing open we have in a second. But what you do in this tool is you create pixel art, like Pixel Edit. So you can just draw things. Then you go to the next step. Oh, what it also does, it has some extra features like a rounded voxel, basically, which is weird. And you can load palettes. This is also a very nice feature. I haven't read folder, but you can just open 60 new colors, which give you a very nice way of creating coherent content for your game. Just by loading a palette and only use those colors for your 3D objects, everything will kind of look the same. But what you can do with this tool, if we go to the next tab, is, and hopefully it shows, it's probably too small. I just realized. But all these things are numbers. So you say number 1 and number 2 and number 4, and this is the depth of the object. So we go to model, you probably can see it better. I can take it into extreme. But it's just creating a 3D model by extruding the pixels. And then you can export this to a GLTF format, and you can load that up inside your game. And then you have 3D models. It's so easy to just draw a few lines and just give it some depth, and you have a 3D model. Again, this tool is not for free. This is way more expensive. No, it's just, I think it's $2.99. I wrote it down. $3.99 US dollars. Now, the last tool I want to show, I'm just going to skip to that tool right away, is Asset Forge. Now, this model looks really complicated. If I can model something like this from scratch using 3D Studio or whatever, but that would take a lot of time. This tool, let me just new a file. Say we want a plane. Now, this is like Lego. You just select the Lego blocks you want. So there's a category of aircraft. Now, this tool is a bit more expensive. I think it's $39 for the deluxe version with everything. It is, you just have blocks, and you can load. So I added a few sets of other blocks as well. So if you have blocks from some other source, you can add them as well. And there are people that just make blocks, share those for free. You can buy sets. That's what they call kit bashing. So you have a kit with train parts, and you can build a train. So for example, let's take Blaster. So there's a couple of different blocks in here. So let's pick a few. If I do this one, so this is like the place where you hold the gun. What is this? Having two triggers is not the best for a gun, I think. That will be weird. But you can just add some things here. Is there an end to it? Well, this seems to be rotated. So we can go in and enough, rotate it 90 degrees more. And you just basically place things together. What's this? Oh, it's a scope. Let's add a scope to it. So now we have a gun. Now it's still blue, so we can go into the color tool. This only uses 3 colors, so we can pick this one. Let's make it red with yellow. So now we have a red and yellow gun. And again, you can export this. Just go to File, Export Model. And you can export this as GLTF or whatever format you want. And then you can load that up into your favorite engine, and you have your models. Now, that plane I just showed before, that's from a game I'm working on right now for a game jam. It's well, maybe half an hour at the most, and you have a model like that. It's so easy to work with. You just threw some things together, and then if you want to have another model for the same game, you want to kind of have it look the same way. Well, you are using the same basic blocks, so you just slap the blocks together, or you delete half the plane and you create a new one. It's an amazing tool, and I really like this tool as well. Let's switch back to PowerPoint for a second. So that was Asset Forge. Now you want to have sound. I'm going to skip this one because the sound wasn't working, I think. But I'm going to show it anyway in the browser running. If I can find my browser. This one. And there's a lot of sliders which are really scary, but you can just hit a button here. And now we have an explosion or a power up, and then you can hit mutate and change a little bit. And if you're happy with it, you can use this set of data and load that into your application, or you can also use this base 64 encoded string in your application, and that way you have sound. Source code. Oh, it's not the right link. Oh. So there's documentation available. Here you have an example. These 2 lines is all you need to have to play the sound. You hear sounds, but not very hard. Oh, maybe you hear them from my headset. to the microphone. That might be possible. But anyway, this is just very easy to create kind of glitchy sounding sounds with just a few lines. If you replace this by the base 64 encoded string, it's even less space. Or here's an example of that. It's almost nothing, and then you have sound. There is web audio coming out of this. So we can use this to throw into the spatial sound as well, for example, which I will show as well, if I can get to it. So let's go back to PowerPoint for a second. Now it's going to get interesting. This gun I bought for €5 at a toy store. I saw yesterday they lowered the price even further. I think it's €2 right now, this toy gun. So I might just order a box of 20 just to play with and take them apart. It's nothing more than just a trigger, which is a button that sends a signal, one signal. Now, there's no documentation on how to get this to work, how you get access to this. So what I want to show you is how you can do that. So let's go back to the desktop. If everything works. So let's go desktop. Are we desktop? Yes, we are desktop. Now this tool is called, the tool I'm using right now, is called Bluetooth LE Explorer. Well, it's at Intertoys. If you search Intertoys and you search Bluetooth AR gun, it comes up. But I can share the link later. I want to start looking for guns. Now, as you can see here, there is AR. If it stops moving, there's AR gun game. That's the one I need. There is more. My mouse shows up. My headset shows up. If you want to do something else, I have a Nordic thingy lying around. You can connect with this. Even if you have, say, some electronic doll you want to use and want to do something with, you can get access to it through this. So now I click here. It's connecting to the gun, which is lying around here. And this is all the information you need. As you can see, there are a lot of GUIDs lying around. These are the ones. You have services and you have characteristics. Now, when I press the button, you see one thing change. You see AR gun key pressed, and that's a message, an event that is sent, and that's the one I'm interested in this case. Now you can even go one level deeper in here. If you click this, you can also see AR gun key pressed. It's just a string that the gun sends, and that's all the gun does. But now we have the information we need. So when I go into the code here, is that the one? I'm not sure if it's the idents. It's yes, it's idents. I think that's the one. Now this is an official web standard. It's nothing weird. So we are connecting to the Bluetooth device. We're just requesting the device. This is what's showing that pop-up, and I'm filtering for AR gun game, and you can add some services because I want to have access to that button. So that's what I just say. If there is something else that is called AR gun game and has the same service, it works as well. And then we're going to connect it, and we're going to get the primary service. From that primary service, we get the characteristic, and these are the things we just saw flashing in that tool. Now the trick in this case that I want to listen for notifications is we say, well, just start the notifications, and when a value changes, we get into a piece of code, and we say, well, it's a trigger press. Now what comes out is a byte array. So there is a text decoder class object thing in JavaScript which can decode a byte array to a string, and we say, well, if the string we get back is AR key pressed, AR gun key pressed, that's that exact string we got. And then we say, well, in this case, this is just A-frame code to emit an event. And when we press the trigger and we release the trigger, we do that. I also show some things in this case that is connected, updating that little button. That's just plain JavaScript. But this is the trick. This is everything that is needed for the gun, and we fire an event. We can hit spacebar if you want, but in this case, we trigger that button. And that's all there is to hacking Bluetooth. Let me check how much I have left on the slides. In this case, I did a video. We have web audio as well. Web audio is one of my other favorite APIs next to WebXR. Web audio, and I still want to build a HoloLens app with web audio and synthesize and stuff. Web audio is a node-based system. So you basically create virtual nodes you connect together. And those nodes can be oscillators, filters. You can just generate audio, you can visualize things. There's spatial audio in there. You can change the gain of your node. You can slide from node to node, from value to value. And it's the trick here that what makes this really special is the timing. There is a timer in here, and to generate audio, you need a timer, a specific fast timer, and that's what the web audio is taking care of. But you can just give it a position, basically. So we go here to the sound. Now there's a bit more in here than that example that you showed. But here we have, in this case, a shoot and an explosion, and those are loaded, and we grab the buffers from those. So we have a sound effects with 2 buffers. Just a simple array. Here you can see how those node things work. So we create a new context. That's what initializing the audio. I specify what up is, just for the spatial audio. I want to create a gain node, so I can control it. In this case, I haven't even used it, but I always want to create a gain node so I can change the volume of the audio that comes out. That we connect to the destination so we can hear things. And then I'm just creating 25 audio nodes. Why do I create 25 audio nodes and not just play a sound? Well, if you play a sound and you play the same sound again, the first one stops. And I want to shoot. And if there's an explosion, I want to hear my shooting sounds, and I want to hear explosion sounds at the same time. And that's why I just create an array of 25. So I basically have 25 channels I can play audio in. They are all panner nodes. Panner nodes are for spatial audio. And then there's a little bit of code here where we set the position somewhere in 3D space. And we basically play the audio. We copy the buffer to our output and then play the sound. And that's it. And then you have this spatial audio generated from scratch. Do we have anything else? No, I have a couple of last notes. Are there questions out there? Things you want to see, want to code or things? Yeah, if you want to find me somewhere, Twitch is where you can find me. I have a YouTube channel, which I need to upload a couple of videos. I think I will see if I can recreate the demos I just screwed up earlier and create those into new videos. I think that's the least I can do. And there's also a WebXR Discord, which is growing pretty fast. And I thought it might be handy just to add a QR code to show there. Also, the link tree, if that's you can find my Instagram, whatever you want to find is on the link tree. And if there are no more questions, I think that's all I had for now. Oh, there's one question. If I use all of those tools or some of them, I use, well, for the modeling, I use one of those modeling tools. I've used Blockbench, Kenshape, and the game I'm working on right now is using the Asset Forge. There's no real need to mix them, but you can load. So you can create something in Blockbench and load that up into Asset Forge, for example. You could do that, but I'm using Pixel Edit for the textures and then create the model somewhere else.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for this really cool talk. So many interesting tools that I just learned about. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
I was wondering, sorry, Alexander.
No, go on. No worries.
I was wondering, like, how far do you think WebXR is from like a serious development tool for the HoloLens? Because you said like A-Frame supports some of the features, Wonderland Engine supports some more. What's the status?
No, the features are supported in the browser. So right now it is you have to run the insiders version of Windows on the HoloLens. I think they are. I'm not sure if it's OpenXR they're working on to enable that in the browser, but they are working on the graphics engine inside the HoloLens to open that up to use in the browser. And that way you might get access to the spatial data, for example. And that's what's needed to work on the Windows side. And then they need to implement it in the browser itself. So that's why I use the Canary version. Yeah, and it's not done yet. They're still working on it. But I've been waiting for that first step, to have the API available and do something with it. That was what I was really waiting on. And I hope that pretty soon they will just release a new version of Windows with everything in.
I can actually see some of the advantages by using WebXR, because it allows you to build stuff for multiple platforms.
Yes.
And that makes it really interesting. And to be honest, I've been involved also with a lot of HoloLens development, and this looks a lot simpler and easier if everything works, of course, but a lot easier than.
It's the sharing. With the live streams, I sometimes live stream the HoloLens development as well, and we built a game for it. That's why we use Wonderland Engine a lot to build that game and see what we can do, how far we can take things. And we had a lot of issues with the sharing as well. That's why I also added some videos. It's really tough to get the sharing to work.
Yeah, and a really interesting remark, and I agree also with Elango. If I'm saying that right, then thanks for the Bluetooth hack.
Yeah, that's so much fun.
Yeah, I didn't know about the tool. I actually just installed it. It even found my Oculus Quest 2. For some reason, it's turned on, which I didn't know.
Well, that's the nice thing about Bluetooth LE. So the normal Bluetooth you have to turn on and you have to set it into broadcast mode and all that kind of thing. With LE, you don't have to turn it on. It just it's just always broadcasting something, a very light message, and you can always connect to it. And that's probably why you can connect to the Oculus. It probably just shows the Bluetooth LE thing or something.
Yeah, it came back. So if I look at my device, it came back with the device name, what I'm allowed to do, and not so many things. And the other thing which directly came up was my Bluetooth Razer mouse. I can even read what the battery status was.
And batteries, that's one other nice thing about Bluetooth. So I'm kind of Bluetooth expert now. Thank you for sharing the name of the thing. It's just in the Windows Store.
Yeah, you need to use the Windows Store for this.
Yeah. I forgot what you were asking.
The fact that it's also
the battery. Yeah. So battery is a standard. So there are a lot of standard things you can do with Bluetooth, and the battery level is a standard thing. You probably can get the same request, the same characteristic for every device that has a Bluetooth there's a battery. It's the same characteristics, just standard.
Yeah, I think the device needs to be turned on to get that actually.
Oh, that might be the case.
Yeah, because for in this case, my Oculus Quest doesn't show up that battery status at the moment.
What if you don't have a Bluetooth device? Like if you don't have that gun and you have your HoloLens scene, and say you have hand tracking through Wonderland engine, can you then interact easily with the 3D objects?
Well, actually, I had that working with the previous Edge as well. Under the covers, it's just using the gamepad API. So you could use a normal gamepad, which also works. If you have a Bluetooth gamepad, you can connect that. If you don't have anything you can connect, you can use your hands. And the tap event just translates to a click event. And that's working as well. So you can just the normal HoloLens tap event, you can use that. In this case, I didn't implement anything else than the Bluetooth. But if you implement a click, you can use that.
Nice.
Cool.
And it's really funny because there is no gun tracking in the HoloLens.
There isn't.
And it just happened to, even if you hold the gun, it knows where your hand kind of is. If you look really close, what's happening is just going all over the place. But your wrist stays kind of in the same
you're
place.
You're tracking the wrist, so you know where to shoot from. Yeah.
So that it's and it just happened. I thought that I was really surprised that it worked with the gun actually. So I think I'm going to order a second one, and then we can dual wield shooting aliens.
So if there are not any more questions, no, we don't.
I have more questions.
Oh, you have more questions. Okay. Wow. Shoot the question.
So you were mentioned MRTK in the beginning, really quick. Like, so what if you want to have like MRTK style interactions in WebXR? Is that already possible? Like, do you have to do like Unity export, or like what would be the way to do that?
To be really honest, I normally work with the MRTK in Unity, but I have not used the WebXR version. I checked that I checked before the talk that it is there. I have read something about it or knew something about it, heard something about it somewhere. So it is there. People are experimenting with it, exporting it to the web, and then it just becomes WebAssembly.
Okay.
And then it just works. But exporting something from Unity to WebGL to run on the web just takes a lot of time. That's not as fast as you have with A-Frame, for example, or with Wonderland. With A-Frame, when I'm developing with A-Frame, I have it set to automatically refresh the browser when I'm working. So when I make a change to a file, it automatically refreshes. So I normally have just a virtual window next to my real window, just wearing the HoloLens. And with A-Frame, you need to exit your immersive mode, and then it refreshes, and then you can go back into immersive mode. So you're constantly switching back and forth, and just typing, changing things, and then it updates the browser, and you change something else, and you update the browser, and it's just that. It's that. Remote debugging is something I have not. I'm not working yet. It should work, but I have some issues with it, and I've figured out what it is. There is a tool called Vorlon, which you can use to remotely debug if over the network if nothing works. But working with the Quest, for example, there it is working, and you can just set a breakpoint on your desktop in the web debug tools, and then you just hit the breakpoint. You can do everything you can do with the local debugging, but then remote, which is pretty cool.
Cool. If you're like say you're a Unity developer and you want to get started with WebXR, what tool would you like, or what tool or platform would you recommend? Would you recommend A-Frame or Babylon or Wonderland?
I think A-Frame is the easiest to get started with. I think later this year it might be Wonderland, but Wonderland is not at its 1.0 state. It's 0.84, I think, the latest version. They are still working on it. They are still adding new features. And I'm actually working pretty close with them, coming with feedback and add new features. But it's not there yet. But the way of thinking between A-Frame and Wonderland and Unity is kind of similar. You write code, and then you attach that to an object, basically. And that's how you can do things in Unity. And with A-Frame works kind of the same way. So the way of thinking is more of an Unity style when you work with A-Frame than a web style, because of that component-driven design. And Wonderland uses the same technique. But right now, I would, if you want to start with it, I would suggest A-Frame, just because there's more documentation available, and it just, if you can write HTML, then you can build your first WebXR thing.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we did have Jonathan Hale give a talk in the past about Wonderland.
Yeah.
A while ago. Yeah. Well, I think that's all my questions. Thank you so much for your time and answering them.
And no problem.
Thank you, Timmy.
And if you have any more, if you come up with something later, just ask. I'm always available for answering questions.
So thanks, bye, Timmy.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah, and we will see you next month again with 2 new sessions coming up. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you
a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.